Hello and welcome to the channel Let's Automate. First of all, I would like to apologize for not posting any videos for the last 1 month. As you know, the world has been changing due to the pandemic and I've been busy with solving business problems. But I'm back now and I should be posting videos more often. So thank you for staying tuned and waiting for our videos. In this video, we're going to discuss about Automation Anywhere's A2019 interactive forms, which is one of the new features released with the latest build of Automation Anywhere A2019. This really takes the human bot collaboration to the next level based on the current setup that we have had so far. And this video should be fun, so stay tuned and let's get started. Welcome back. So I'm logged into my A2019 control room. If you don't know or you haven't signed up for A2019 yet, we have a video created on how you can sign up and set it up for the first time. I'll leave a link in the description for that. You could go through it, sign up for the community edition and get to this screen. So let's get started. We're talking about interactive forms. This is a new feature added by Automation Anywhere. So if you see uh, under create new, I have an option to create a bot or a form. In this particular video, we are talking about a form. So let's get started here. I'll just name the form as form 1. Okay. Now you could use forms in various for various purposes. So once you click on create, you get to this screen. So basically a canvas. You've got some elements which you can just drag and drop, like a checkbox if you want to take in a number and things like that. So uh, really what this is going to do is help your robots interact with the bot users in a very interactive manner. So I'll give you an example. In version 11 or 10 or anything before that, if you had to take multiple inputs from a user, like his name, his age, license number, things like that, you'd have to put in a lot of prompts, or you'd have to read it from a CSV or from an input file. With this, you just have a UI which gets popped up on the screen, and the user can fill in these details on one single screen at a go, and the bot can take all of that input and process it. And that's one way of using form. The second way is, maybe setting up two different sections in the form, one for input, the second one for output. So you can take input, show the output right on the same UI. And there are various ways to use it. You can be creative. If you got questions or if you got more suggestions, feel free to put it on the comment section below. In this video, we're going to create a simple form which will take an input and present an output on the same UI. Okay, so I'm going to name this as translation form. We're going to do something fun. We'll try and translate an input text into an output text, show it on the form itself. So let's go ahead and bring a text area. Okay, so every element that you bring in here, you can edit the property from the right hand pane. Okay, so for now I'm just going to name this as input string. All right, we can change the character limit. I'm going to leave it at, or change it to 1000. If you want, you can add some hints and tooltips. I don't want to do that right now. I do want this field to be required, and I'll just hit save. Okay, now let's add a button, and I'll say translate. So when a user clicks on translate, the text which is in the input area gets translated. Okay, let me save this. Now I want to give the user an option as to what exactly they want to translate to. Right now, because it's a fun video, we're going to use some fun translation APIs. So now what we want to do here is, let's say, target language. Now, if you see, these radio buttons are currently aligned in a vertical fashion, but because we have only two options in this particular use case, we're gonna make it horizontal. All right. Okay. So the output text, hold your breath. Okay. We want to translate to Dothraki, or we will translate the text into Valyrian. Now, if you're a Game of Thrones fans, just like me, you would know what these two languages are. If you don't, really, it's a fun translation, so you don't really need to, know this. But I want my users to get an option to whether to, what target language they want to translate to, whether it's Dothraki or Valyrian. So I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, I think we're good here. Now, once someone clicks on translate, we want to show the translated text. So we'll go ahead and put another text area, and let's say, oh, sorry, output string. Okay, so the flow is someone will put in an input string, they'll select what language to translate to, and then they'll hit translate. The output string gets automatically populated based on a translation that we will do within our automation bot. Okay, so let me save this here. Now, a couple of things which you would want to keep a tab on is whether you want to give users an option to close this particular form. So if you see, you get a close button here. If you want to give them an option to minimize, so if you uncheck them, you don't see these options. So in this particular case, I don't want to give any of these options. What we want to do is just quickly check how the form looks. So you have an option to preview. You can select the resolution which is best suited for your display, and you can also change the X and Y coordinates. So this looks decent for me, so I'll just hit OK or apply. Now, once a user has the translated video, the translated text, I want to give an option or just put a button for them to say close. All right, instead of the close option here on the top, I just want to put a button so that the user can take its time, maybe copy the output string, uh, just read it if you'd like, and then click on close. All right, so I'll just give another button for close, and I'll hit save. Now, my translation form is ready. However, this particular form will not or cannot run on its own, right? So I got to use a bot. This will be called within a bot, something similar to the MetaBot that we all have been used to, right? So I will go ahead and now start creating a bot using this form. For now, let me go ahead and rename this form to translator and save. Okay, let me close this. Now, let's go ahead and create a bot now. Let's say GOT, which is for Game of Thrones translator. All right. All right, so we are in the new bot window. Now, what we want to do here first is show the form to the user, right? So we'll go ahead and use interactive forms. Now, there's a new variable type introduced with the latest version, which is called form. So we'll go ahead and name it as form. I'll select what form we're talking about, what form this variable will talk to. So I'll go ahead and select the form that we just created. I'll confirm, select, apply. Okay, so now when I run the bot, this form will be displayed. Now, to be able to interact with the form, we have to use something called as a trigger loop. Okay, so let me bring it here. When we build the bot, it'll make more sense. Okay, so now let's see here. Now what we want is, let me show you here, this flow or the loop to be triggered when the user selects translate. Okay, so when the translate button is clicked, this flow will or should get activated. Now once it's activated, what do I want to do? Let's go back to interactive form. I want to get some input, right? I mean, the user has put some details, so I want to read them and I want to store them into a variable. So now what I want to take first is my input string. Let me just create a variable for this. So we input will hold my input string data. I then want to capture the target language which the user has selected. So let me go ahead, select target language, radio button. I'm just going to take this, I'm going to take this as a string. So let's say target language. All right, now comes the fun part. So now I want to translate the text that I've captured as input. So now I think I have to use, I'll go ahead and use an API. It's a free API, anyone can use it. If you like, you could go ahead and give it a try. Let me type that out here. Okay. Now, I could type Dothraki or Valerian here, but since I'm taking an input from the user, I'm just gonna use my variable and say JSON. So this is the syntax for this particular API. You can use different types of APIs here. Okay, I'm going to create a custom parameter for text, and we'll use the variable input string. Now we want to capture this information, the response, into a dictionary variable. Let me hold this here. Okay, so I think we're good. We got the URI, some common, the custom parameters, and the output. So we'll just go ahead and save this. Now we can go ahead and use a package for JSON parser, or we have a new package released by Automation Anywhere CTO, which is object detection, which basically helps you extract keys from your JSON responses. But to keep it simple for now, because we just have to extract one piece of information, I'll go ahead and use the extract text from string. So let me go ahead and put API response. We want to extract text from the API response body. And what do we want to extract? So let me see here. Okay. And right, I think this should do. Let me add another variable to capture output and save this. Now let me go ahead, because we have the output now, we can go ahead and use set option. And what do we want to set up now? We want to set the output string text area with the output that we have. So let's insert that. Now, remember we created a button for close, right? Uh, so we still want the bot to wait or look for the user to click on the close button and only then close the form, right? So every time you want the interaction of the bot to end with your form, you need to use a break command within trigger loop. So if I use it here, this will basically end this flow. Okay, so let me save this. But we don't want the robot or the flow to end after we've populated the output text, right? What we want is the bot to wait for the human or the user to click on the close button, right? So we'll go ahead and delete this break for now, and we will drag another loop. Okay, and this loop we want to wait for someone to click on the close button. Okay, let's hit apply here, and now within this flow we can drag the yeah, within this flow we can go ahead and drag the break command. This will go ahead and break the interaction loop and ensure that the user have either copied or read the translated text. Okay, let's see here. Now I'm putting another break so that the second loop, the first loop rather, uh, gets exited as well. So let me save this. All right, I think we are ready. Let me go ahead and show the list view of this bot. So we start with displaying the form that we created. We start a loop, the first loop handle, which looks for the text area, which will basically take the input from the form, do the translation, set up an output in the output text area, and then we don't want the form to go away from the screen. We want the user uh, to himself or herself close the form. So we initiated another loop where we will look for the loop condition where someone should click on the close button, and then two breaks to get out of these two loops. All right, let's go ahead and close this. Okay, let's give this a run. Might take a minute to deploy the bot for the first run due to dependencies. There it is. That's our translation form. We'll give a famous quote from Game of Thrones and we'll translate it to Valerian. It should say Valar Morghulis. And there it is. Now, uh, in our use case, the close button will close this particular form, but in a real situation where uh, when you're using a form, you can build a condition with this button as well. So, one of the common use case flow could be the user input something, select some fields, hit fetches the information, or translates or processes that information. You generate an output and the user can say whether it's right or wrong. This can be very useful when training your machine learning models. It can also be used, I believe it can also be used for an interactive chatbot, not exactly a chatbot, but something which is a guided chatbot. So I think it can be used for that as well. But it's fun. I mean, you can use it for many purposes, and once we hit close here, this form should go off. So I think this has a very wide applicability in the automation realm. And if you have any questions or comments about the video, feel free to put it in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, share it with your colleagues and friends. Thanks very much for watching this video. You have a great rest of the day.